Welcome, everybody. Today, we're super excited to be having an AMA with an artist that will be joining our platform this summer. We're here with Kunel Gaur, who's going to be telling us a bit about his background and some of the accomplishments he's had already within the Web3 space, as well as give us some forward-looking ideas about what he has planned. So without further introduction, I'm just going to let him jump right in and give us some background. Who are you? What have you been up to? And why should we be excited about you coming to our platform?
Hi, thanks so much, Angelica. Glad to be on the platform. And I'm a creative entrepreneur. I come from an advertising, graphic design, illustration background. I have been working with ad agencies all my life, and this was prior to me starting Animal, which was a creative agency that I started in 2014 after I quit my last job at White& Kennedy. And so it started as a design studio, and we gradually moved into evolving the company into a full service creative agency. And we now work with clients on identity projects, branding, as well as social media marketing, films, design, all of those things. And this personal practice started about a few years back, just before the pandemic. We were all kind of course, locked in our homes, and I had more time on my hands, just like any creative person. And so I started working on some of these ideas that I had in my notes since a long time. I just wanted to kind of explore and see that now that I had the time to explore them. And so those are some series that I started working on, started posting them, and started evolving from there on a direction that kind of was always in my head, this whole idea of getting inspiration from packaging, branding, identity, typography, the whole rich visual culture that we see on our streets, full of just kind of all of these components of identity and branding just mashed into each other, the scenario that we see on the streets. So just borrowing from that to create different pieces and different series from there. So that's where my true inspiration came from. And so I started developing some pieces, and all of those things happened and followed after collages and graphics and all those things.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. It sounds like you've had quite the journey, especially it seems like COVID even helped you kick off in a lot of ways. We talked to a lot of artists who went through transformations during COVID. So, it seems to be a trend. If you're ready for it, you could have started something during even the pandemic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you talk about what actually drew you personally to the Web3 NFT space initially?
Yeah, I've always been curious about. I've been a nerd and a full-time geek through the 90s and 90s kid. So I saw the internet come in from all of those chat rooms and evolve into like the whole Web3, whole Web2 boom, and all of these websites and then email and search engines and all of those things coming in. And so I almost saw the internet being built in front of me, and this kind of felt like like a resurgence of that in a way. This was almost like the new internet being built again, all over again, with the completely new direction and approach to keeping in mind all of those things we've kind of lost and found in Web 2, which is privacy, which is identity, which is expression. All of those things kind of catered to and solved for, which came in Web 3. So it kind of was, of course, it was a moment of like this looking at how internet could be, what the internet of tomorrow could look like, what future could look like for communication, for creatives, for the industry at large, all of those things. So it was full of hope and all of these things. So I think it just felt right to kind of jump into it and see it grow and become something right in front of your eyes for the second time.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of the people in our community would agree with you in terms of the ethos of blockchain and crypto that is appealing for creatives. This intersection where NFTs are, the transparency, the democratization, the openness. It can be a very cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think looking
Absolutely.
at where it's going, also like blockchain comes from this really hard, like really secure kind of space where it's like it was always used by like the likes of NASA and all of these companies that usually would work in a really high security, highly secure environment, working with the government and all of those things. It comes from there, and then from there to reach a place which is meant for creative expression is something. So it's just amazing to see that evolution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a bit about some of your actual pieces that you'll be bringing to Blind Boxes. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind the pieces and describe them a little bit so when people have some context when they're looking into your collection?
Yeah, so my inspiration for these pieces and specifically the larger body of work has been brutalism and functional design. And so what I've done with these pieces is take all of those elements and create environments from it. A lot of these elements are taken from my observation in real world, right? On the streets, at the back of a building, all of these different places where I found these inspiration, the original space for inspiration. And these pieces are an attempt to recreate that mood in which they were originally observed. And so if there's like a moment that I can capture in a 3D environment that can possibly convey the same feeling that I had when I was observing that particular element or graphic element or like an object, it would be the right justice for that. And so those pieces, the systems collection itself was a tribute to all of those moments that in which those observations happened in those real places. And so I'm trying to recreate that lighting, that mood that you have, those signages and those different symbolism, the typography exist in a real world, and just kind of bringing that into a 3D environment to recreate that mood. And so those are all the pieces that I'll be showcasing on the collection.
Yeah. Yeah, I can now that you give the context behind them, I've seen the artwork and I can see where you're going with it. So it has definitely captures a mood and an essence. And they're just absolutely stunning. So wonderful. And I guess I would say, just to sort of wrap up, what do you see moving ahead for you as a creator within the Web3 space, but also as a founder of an agency and as someone who's very active within the creative spaces and the technology space? What do the next 2 to 3 years look like for you?
I think it's a constant evolution for us, not just for me as a creative individual, but also the industry and the agency and the other things that we're doing. So we're dabbling a lot with in AR currently, just taking my own collection into AR, but also working with creators at large to bring their collections on AR. So we're building a platform called Arrival, which is an augmented reality platform that brings together creative expression in a way that it can sit in a real world scenario. We believe that the metaverse is something that started the conversation, but it's a lot of it is to do with virtual metaverses. We want to build something in the real world, which is where AR comes in. It has the right kind of mix of scale as well as environment around you. And so we're working on location anchored artworks with different creatives to create the next wave of art and expression. So that I'm really excited about. Next 1 or 2 years is going to be about building those real world shows with different creators.
Very cool. So you mentioned AR, and I guess one thing we could talk about, it's another technology that has a lot of buzz similar to AR, but apps is, absolutely different, is AI. So, it's in the news, and I would just want to ask you, do you have any opinions or outlook as a creator and a founder in the space on artificial intelligence?
The creatives and artworks and artists who are just using it to create finished artworks. And that's where it goes wrong, because the whole conversation then comes to the corporate identity and the IPs and the copyrights and all of those things. And I completely agree with those. But if an artist or a creator, if an artist or a creator is using AI as part of their process, that is something that just speeds up their own internal journey in the studio. It is almost like adding nitro to your process, right? So it reduces months and even years, in some cases in your creative process. Something that you could possibly arrive at in years or months could take days or hours in some cases. So that is what AI does in a personal capacity. What we are doing with AI, and that is the second part, is to connect AI to AR. So we are working on generative AR models. these work or course with creators and artists and brands, but also with anyone and everyone who has got ideas but is not a creative person, anyone who would love to express something but does not have the means. The generative AR will empower them to create different graphics in their own location just by means of prompts. Almost like, think of it like Midjourney for AR. That is the kind of model we are working on currently. I am really excited about the possibilities it is already bringing.
Very, very cool. So, where can we find you if you want to find out about both you as a creator as well as your agency? How can we find you on social media, websites? What are the best links to find you?
kunelgaur.com, my name, and that's it. You'll find all the links there to Animal to Arrival, all of the different projects that we're doing in the creative space.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We're really looking forward to bringing your collection to the platform and exploring and continuing this journey with you as an NFT creator and as an innovator in the Web3 space. Thank you so much. All right.